Now. All right. Okay. So I don't even know how to introduce this because it's our first one. So with Amusement Insiders, we kind of came up with a segment because a lot of people find some coaster reviews to be one-sided, and usually when one person is giving a coaster review, it can be really biased in a lot of areas. So we decided to find people that have ridden a new coaster and bring them on to give a diverse review of that coaster. And we have right now 4 people, hopefully 5 shortly. So I will let you 4 introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm Ben. I run the Instagram Ride All Night, and I rode Twisted Timbers for the first time this weekend.
So I will let you 4 introduce yourselves. All right, who's next? Drake?
Sure. My name's Drake, Wonderland Boy on YouTube, and I went to King's Dominion the past 2 days, and I got to ride Twisted Timbers. Wow.
And Adam?
And I am Adam. I guess everybody knows me as Thrill Ride 2006 on Instagram, or Adam. I've been on Taylor's videos and Logan's Coaster Kids, that kind of thing. So I've ridden a lot of roller coasters around the country and Canada. So, including Twisted Timbers on Season Pass Night and Media Day. So
awesome. And Joe? Do we have a rep? Joe, are you there? Mic check.
All right, it's working out. I got kicked out. All right, I'm Joe from Roller Coaster Junkies. I run the Instagram and YouTube page with Eric Willersdorf, but he's not going to be on yet. So yeah.
All right. Okay, so basically how this is going to work is we're going to ask a series of questions that have to do with the coaster or theme park in question, and the people who have ridden it will give their feedback on that certain question. And just a little reminder, everyone has different opinions. If one person doesn't like a coaster, it doesn't mean it's a bad coaster. It's just their personal opinion. Everyone kind of has a different top 10, top 20. So don't take anything too personally. And yeah, so I guess we'll get started. Before riding Twisted Timbers, what was your opinions on Twisted Timbers? I guess we'll start with Drake.
Well, any RMC that I see, I'm always very interested in riding it because they are absolutely incredible. And then just obviously seeing all the airtime moments in it, which is probably my favorite kind of thing on a coaster, I thought, yes, I need to get on this ride. And honestly, I might like it better than Steel Vengeance. This is, again, pre-riding them both because, goddamn, that airtime.
All right. And Joe?
I thought it was, I really liked it. I saw all the airtime on it, and I really was starting to compare it to a ride like Storm Chaser because they have a lot in common. And I was one of the people that was saying that this could actually be better than Steel Vengeance when I saw it on the same day, because I saw this, it was like a smaller ride. It didn't have much to it, so I didn't think it would have like the pacing issues like Steel Vengeance could.
Touchy subject. Joe. Oh, wait, we just did Joe. Adam.
Haven't ridden most of the RMCs, but 2. Was very surprised. I'm a backseat kind of rider kind of guy. I didn't get to ride it. I was there for the meet event, but I was too busy mingling with Fred Grubb about opinions and stuff. But my first ride on it was at night, and I was blown away. Very butter smooth. The trains are a little bit different. They're the 3rd gen trains, so I don't know if many of you guys have ridden some of the other ones around the country. But overall, I don't know if you guys have ridden Storm Chaser or Iron Rattler. It's kind of like that mixture, but the pacing was amazing.
So what was your view before riding it, though? Like, before going to the park, what were you kind of thinking of the coaster?
Like Storm Chaser. honestly.
Storm Chaser? Okay, that's a good.
Uh-huh.
And then Ben, did I miss you in the introductions?
Nope, I think I went
Okay,
first.
okay. And then Ben, oh yes, you did, Ride All Night. Ben, what did you think of the ride before riding it?
After like seeing them going through like all the teasers and like showing the construction, and after them announcing it and like seeing that so similar to Storm Chaser, that's one of my favorite coasters is Storm Chaser. So I was very excited to see how it would turn out, and it looked like a great ride from the animation. I was super excited to ride it.
Awesome. All right. Upon arriving to the park, what was your opinion on the general area improvements? Because we know that King's Dominion kind of upgraded that whole area. We'll go with Drake.
Last time I was there was like 6 years ago prior to this, so I don't really remember much. To me, it kind of looked the same. They just stuck some giant candy apples in the ground along the the sides of the walkways. So I mean, I guess that was cool. Yeah, to me, it kind of just looked the same, other than everything about Twisted Timbers.
Okay. Joe?
I thought it looked a lot nicer. It didn't have the kind of cheesy advertisements like it had on the station, like when Hurler was there. The new pavers were very nice, and the general area had a lot of nice improvements overall vision. So that's what I think.
Awesome. And Adam?
Going to King's Dominion for the past 8 years. If you guys remember the asphalt blacktop, it had the old footers of hypersonic. They kind of like got rid of all that, put the new pavers in, and really redid the entire area. Looks totally different. That gift shop is no longer the. I don't know if Wonderland does it, but Kings Island and Cedar Point have like an Attitudes. They sell like those weird off-branding clothing. They totally return that into the Twisted Timbers shop. So whole area looks great. I was
awesome.
impressed.
Yeah, I'm hearing really good things about the merch. And then Ben.
Of course, when I went to King's Dominion, it was my first time there, so I never got to experience what the area looked like before everything was there differently. But it looked really nice, and comparing it from pictures, it looked like a great upgrade.
For sure. All right. And then this is a little similar, but what was your overall opinion on the general theming of the Midway? And take into account, especially kind of like Cedar Fair and Six Flags parks in general, in terms of theming in the past. Drake. I keep forgetting.
That section used to be like the old like fair section, right? Kind of thing, like the Coney Island theme section. Was that right?
Asking the wrong person.
And
anyone
anyways,
else? A map. Hold on. An older map.
For some reason, that's what I'm like. I've watched some documentary recently about it, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then to change it to like Candy Apple Grove, I don't know. It just kind of felt like it lost a kind of identity. Like the only Candy Apple Grove or orchard part to me only made sense with Twisted Timbers and Apple's Apple. But and then everything else was like, why didn't they just keep this as the Coney Island kind of feel that they were going for? But who knows? Maybe they'll switch some things up as it's as they go along. But I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting section of the park.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see a couple of these things.
Yeah, that's also kind of Paramount's fault because they came into all these parks and ruined all the original sections. So can't really do much about that.
Not to interrupt.
Yeah.
That's where Hypersonic was, so they kind of left that area neglected.
Yeah.
And that was the old Wayne's World area. I don't know if Wonderland had that.
Wow.
That's strange.
Great job, Paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be Mike
and
and Keita's time
map from it, and now that's what it was, a Wayne's World, and they kind of left it neglected.
All right. So then, Joe, what's your opinion on the general theming of the Midway?
I thought this area, it very much reminded me of when I first saw the Mystic Timbers Midway. It has a lot of similar things going on over there. And like what Drake said earlier about the Candy Apple Grove. When Paramount came in and they like redid everything, it kind of like ruined it, and like it's like Cedar. It seems like Cedar Fair kind of rushed to like bring it back to the original feel of the Candy Apple Grove, and it doesn't feel the same. If you know what I mean, it doesn't feel like a Candy Apple Grove. Besides like the Apple Zapple and like the the apple orchard. So it kind
Okay.
of feels a little tacky.
Okay. Awesome. And then Adam?
I thought they did a really good job, honestly. I think they did the same company that did with Mystic Timbers. They're working with the same like concept, but different backstory. The brick pavers just make it better, and the area looks different as far as obviously you guys have all ridden it, but you right, Brandon.
Yeah, I haven't ridden it.
The eggs I was inspecting. If you look at the photo that's showing here, the truck that's actually the photo booth of the ride. So it's confusing because they don't have. You guys have all ridden it previously, so when you enter the queue line, that sign is blank. They're still going to put a Twisted Timber sign up there too, as well. They're not totally done building up the area. That's what they were telling us on Media Day.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
It was rushed. That's why it didn't open. That's why the RMC needed one more day. So.
And then Ben.
I think the general area looks pretty nice. Nothing like extraordinary, but for Cedar Fair stands, it looks like a pretty nice area, and it really like brings more life to the area than what I've seen like pictures and stuff.
Okay, for sure. So that's the perfect thing you just said there. So it may not be perfect and it may not look finished, but taking into account Cedar Fair's even the past 5 years, do you think this is a new era for Cedar Fair with the Mystic Timbers, Twisted Timbers rides and seeing maybe future rides? Do you see theming as being an important aspect moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. I think after seeing how good stuff like this is going to go, like Twisted Timbers, Mystic Timbers, and even some theming like in like Railblazer and some in Steel Avengers too, I think Cedar Fair is going to start doing like smaller segments of theming and then eventually go into maybe larger segments eventually once they work their way up.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Drake?
Oh, that would be a dream. I used to think like theming doesn't really make a ride amazing, but it does help kind of make it be like, wow, this is good, especially if the ride is good itself and then you have good theming on top of that. Incredible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
but
for sure.
This is like they were just saying, they are kind of starting with like the bare minimum now, but they're working their way up. They're trying. They're getting there.
Yeah, this is almost like new territory for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what about you, Adam?
Like you guys said, yeah. I think this new era is going to be a lot of backstories with new attractions. Railblazer being, Route 1, Twisted Timbers being like Apple Orchard, and then Mystic Timbers, in the woods. I think you're going to see that with a lot of new attractions and more brick pavers.
And what about you, Joe?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a new era for Cedar Fair, especially with the theming. As you can tell, they have not done much with theming in the past, but now it seems like, and especially like Twisted Timbers, it doesn't have the most theming, but I think the backstory that they presented on the announcement for the ride, and I don't think if they didn't do that story, I think it would feel quite empty, but I think what they've done is quite good for Cedar Fair.
I just want to point out, I think the entranceway, I haven't been there, so I can't speak, but the entranceway looks gorgeous for Cedar Fair and Six Flags. Like that tree for me is just like, wow.
Yeah, it's the same tree for like Mystic Timbers, I think, too.
Oh, really? Wow, I didn't notice that.
Yep.
All right. And then more theming. The queue line theming. How did you think it was, Drake?
It looked like they just got some stuff from a junkyard that fit with the theming and threw it in, pushed some dirt around for that weird magic thing, and then lined up some trees. Like, to me, it was like, oh, okay, cool.
Me decorating my house.
Yeah. But, like, I guess, yeah, like, it's a start. So that's good.
So kind of lackluster, could have done more or had a storyline maybe is what I'm getting.
Yeah, like if you don't look up the storyline, you're just gonna be looking around like, what is going on here? This is very strange. To be honest, I don't even know the story that well, and so I was just kind of like, oh, okay, something went wrong at this orchard. All right, here we go. But look at this beautiful RMC. That's all I care about. Let's go.
And how about you, Joe?
I think the queue, like, there's like very minimal theming. I think they just kind of put stuff there, and like the trees, it's kind of gives you the feel of an orchard. But I mean, the queue, it kind of makes up for it because you get to, like, when you're walking in the queue, you get to see the ride, which is really cool. So
Awesome. And you, Adam?
I think if you, well, I don't know, you haven't been in the queue, but I noticed it says shed 1, 2, and 3. Even though this ride doesn't have a shed, so I'm thinking the station is maybe, and then it like there's a backdrop to it. I think that's why this ties in with Mystic Timbers. So, and the queue line is I forgot your name, the one with Behemoth on it.
Drake.
Drake, yes. Like you said, they just got a bunch of stuff in the junkyard and threw it in, and then matched with whatever rocks they have in the center.
Yeah.
The queue line's not big, but overall, I think there's a cool backstory to it.
And how about you, Ben?
I thought the theming was pretty good, but it was kind of like how Drake said. It was kind of like just like throwing stuff around that kind of fit with the theming. But the one thing that kind of disappointed me, one of the only things that disappointed me about this ride was with like how Mystic Timber has, like, you can tell the storyline is there because like you have the video showing on the TV screen of showing like how like the footage of stuff of what happened when like all this stuff happened for the Mystic Timbers, and they have like the music playing in the background. I really like that, and I was kind of disappointed to see when I walked in the queue line for Twisted Timbers, just seeing fun TV and no, like, not even having a theme song. So I think if they want to like enhance the theme even more, they can do that. But the theming itself is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard they're not done. Have you guys heard the same thing?
Yes,
I have not.
they're not done. They should be done by June. They're adding a lot more in the station.
Okay.
The marketing person told me. So.
Okay. So it'd be fair to assume it could get better, and maybe.
Yeah, if you guys noticed when you got off the coaster, it said basket 1, 2, and 3 inside the station. They're going to add baskets of apples in them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're not done.
All right, now to the good stuff.
Oh no.
All right. So your ride experience, just your overall ride experience. I know this is where it's going to like get really good. So Drake, we'll start with you.
So I'm eating. Hold on. maybe someone else go first.
Okay, we'll start with Adam.
Overall ride experience. As far as like other RMCs or.
Yeah, just like no, actually, let's just compare it because like each park is kind of like their own, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how we should judge rides in the end. But everyone's different.
So. Well, for the state of Virginia, it's not like over the top. It's like mediocre, but it's fun and smooth for the entire family. It's not like intense, but ride in the back. That's all I gotta say. I didn't get to ride it up front in the front seat, but.
So, how would you compare the beginning of the ride to the end of the ride?
So it's just like Storm Chaser, and then towards the rest of the ride, it's like its own ride, as far as like for King's Dominion.
Okay.
It really doesn't compare to like some of the other rides within the park.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go back to Drake.
Honestly, guys, I thought this ride was literally incredible from start to finish. I was nonstop, like, laughing, screaming, having a great time. I've put it as my official new number 3 on my list. So overall, fantastic. Loved it.
Awesome. And you, Joe?
Now, some of y'all may have rode this over the pass holder preview weekend and then opening day, which I've heard a lot of things with like pacing and stuff, and how it was a mediocre RMC. And one of my friends, he rode it that day, but me and him, we went back just the other day, which was yesterday, and we rode this thing, and he said that it was running a lot better So I'm going to go ahead and give you my thoughts of it. You're basically just going to go out of the station. You're going to go up to the lift hill, which is, it sounds like the Alpengeist lift hill. It's super loud. And you're going to this barrel roll drop. I thought it was really fun. You get some okay laterals. It's not really the best drop, but it's there. You're going to go into this speed hill, which you do get some good, strong ejector airtime. And then after that, you're going to go into a typical overbank and then to another small speed hill. And then these three large ejector airtime hills, which I thought gave similar airtime to Skyrush and El Toro, which blew me away. It was strong, sustained ejector. And then you're going to go to the cutback, which is pretty whippy and fun. And then you're going to go into those smaller ejector hills. Then you're going to go into the trick track double up, like Storm Chaser. And then you're just going to go through a outwards bank turn, I believe, into the last 0G roll, and then those last two overbank turns, which give you some pretty good airtime. So this thing is pretty much nonstop, and there's constantly a moment of airtime.
Perfect. And how about you, Ben?
After riding Storm Chaser and seeing how this ride looks, I was super excited for it, and it turned out to be an amazing ride, and I love every second. It's my number 3, and it's just like the minute you get out of that lift hill, take that turn around and go into the barrel roll drop, it's just, you're just going into an airtime hill, then a turn, then another airtime hill, then an inversion. So it's just complete sanity. And after my first ride, I just didn't even know what happened. It was definitely a very enjoyable experience, and I would love to go back to King's Dominion as soon as possible to ride this thing again, especially because I only got 4 rides on it because it was broken down all day Saturday almost.
All right. So we have a question. So where would you guys recommend? Front, back, middle? Drake.
Well, I'm like a front row ho. That's my thing. But the back seat on this thing, wow. The thing I've said about this ride is that RMC is literally trying to kill you by throwing you out of this ride. So being in the back seat really makes that apparent, and it is literally incredible.
Awesome. And you, Adam?
I only rode the back, and I've only ridden at night, so I have not yet to experience during the day. I did the back, like, you know how it's 2 cars per train? So I did, from her side was the back, and then the second was like the second back. So,
Okay. And how was the night ride?
incredible. I kept asking people, like, where's the camera? Where's the camera? So the back is incredible, especially the 3 airtime hills.
Awesome.
I rode with Dan from Midway.
Oh, cool.
My other buddy who does One Wheel, and then some other YouTuber we were in line with, and incredible. Just, I guess they did something with the newer generation train, because this train felt different than like the other ones, like Twisted and Outlaw Run and Lightning Rod. So something different about this one is, I agree with all you guys. It's a great RMC.
And then how about you, Joe?
Like every other RMC I've ridden, the back's where it's at, but front row is really good too. But I prefer the back row because you get a lot more pull on those hills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you, Ben?
I didn't really get to experience the front row because it was just so long, but back row is definitely where it's at. It was amazing in the back row, especially at night. Every time of the day, it was good in the back row. So definitely back row.
Sounds like the back's the place to be. All right, and then the big question for every RMC right now, especially Steve, I think you know where this is going. Pacing. We'll start with Drake.
I'm pretty sure I said this in my vlog, but I'll say it again as much as I can. There was no point on this ride where you can catch a breath and think about what's going to happen next. It is just constant, like, go, 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 go. We are trying to kill you. What is going to happen? Oh my God, this is amazing. Like, anytime they could put airtime moment in, they were like, yep, here you go. Have fun. Do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then, oh, you know what? Let's go upside down. I'll have some fun doing that too. And there was no point where it felt like they could have done something else here, or this is a bit boring. It was just nonstop going.
And you, Adam?
I agree with everyone's opinion, basically. It's nonstop. Pacing's amazing. Butter smooth. Just outright fun. Not too
Awesome.
intense. So, Yeah.
Perfect. And you, Joe?
I rode this thing when it was like 45 degrees, and it was incredible. It didn't really slow down at all. So I can't wait to ride it when it's like 90 degrees. So this thing does not really have any pacing issues, in my opinion.
Good to hear. And
I
then
know.
how
That's
about
what
you,
everybody
Ben?
was saying. I can't wait to come back in August when it's 90 out.
How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I basically agree with everything. It's just you go and you just go and you don't stop until you slam into that brake run. It's an incredible ride and it's just nonstop. And there's no place to take a breather. Just there's an airtime. It's amazing.
All right. So clearly it sounds like there's no pacing issues. So I'll ask all of you, do you think Steel Vengeance, Steve, will have pacing issues?
Oh, this is. It's so big that it looks like it might, but because of how fast RMCs go, probably not, to be honest. It's probably going to be the same kind of thing, just more. I guess the moments are going to be more drawn out, but that'll be exciting because of how big the elements are. So that's going to throw in some excitement value into that, you know?
Mm-hmm. How about you, Adam?
I don't like to say this, but
I can retweet the question. Don't worry.
no, you're fine. Living in Ohio and then being 3 hours from Cedar Point and watching it being built all summer long, I don't think it's gonna have pacing issues. It just looks spread out, like I think it's gonna contain its speed. I think they're gonna be two different RMCs. I'm more excited for the Raptors to open, though.
I think that's a fair argument. I think you worded it pretty fairly.
Yeah.
And how about you, Joe?
And I'm going to say this because it might have pacing issues does not make it a bad ride. Because if you look at rides like New Texas Giant and Medusa Steel Coaster, they have pacing issues, but they're some of the best roller coasters in the world. And Steel Vengeance, it has the possibility, but it's kind of hard to say right now. In the teaser POVs, it does look quite slow, but to be honest, it's like 30 some degrees in Ohio right now. So that could be why, and they're also
80 here
running
in Cincinnati by Kings Island.
So hopefully it will speed up, because I don't want to be disappointed by this ride, because I'm going to ride it in August.
For sure. And how about you, Ben?
Personally, I've been a person that's just been saying it's not going to have pacing issues. It's not going to be pacing issues. It's going to be the best coaster in the world since day one. So maybe it will, and maybe it won't. Maybe it will be a fantastic ride. But for whatever it is, I'm super excited about it. I want to say no, but after seeing like the teaser POVs, maybe it will be a little bit slower than, say, Twisted Timbers or Wicked Cyclone or other faster RMCs and smaller ones. But I think it's still going to be an incredible ride, regardless of its pacing.
For sure, and we're all going to have to ride it to make that judgment, right? Just like you guys with Twisted Timbers. All right. This one's a hard question, and it might be too soon to even judge this category, but we'll still ask it. Operations. Drake.
See, I'm used to Wonderland where it's like you have to be 18 to operate a ride. And most of these people working in the station were obviously like 16 years old. And I was like, should you be allowed to work here? This is not where you should be.
You got to be able to work at Kings Dominion and Rides, so everybody's over 18.
Oh, is it just the operators then, not just the people in the station?
If you can be, not to interrupt, I'm just saying, Virginia's law, you have to be 18 to be a ride operator.
Okay, that's probably just the people in the booth then. But the people that were like doing the ride, we asked some of them, so they were like 16 years old. But one of my friends too, he came with me, and he's a bit of an enthusiast as well. He said, "Why don't they have the people who have been doing, like, who've worked here previously and are really good, instead of putting new staff on their brand new ride?" You know what I mean? It should be the people who know what they're doing and can just get it done quickly. For the most part, they did do good, but there were some moments where I looked at them and they were kind of lost when something was going wrong with the ride and they had no idea really what to do. But, you know, they did their best for what they could, I think.
Awesome. And you, Adam?
I thought they did great. I know the pass holder night, they were only running one train because they were having the typical RMC cylinder issues with, unlocking. But it was fast on, fast off. I think, they're not as, if you guys notice, they're not as heavy as the other RMCs, the restraints. They come up pretty good. So I thought everything was great.
Awesome. And you, Joe?
Well, I've been a person that's been going to Kingsmead for many years, and I've always pointed out their operations haven't always been the best. And I can just say that the operations, when I went, I noticed they were very inconsistent. Some rides, some cycles, they were moving fast, and when I was there, they were only running one train because they're having issues with the other one. And I noticed that when they were loading and unloading, it was 5 minutes, and then other times it was around a minute. It was very inconsistent.
Yeah,
Which is
I
quite
agree.
disappointing. And I think they should be using, instead of new staff, like someone else said, I can't remember who said that, but they should be using staff that has been operating rides more often than these people, because I've never seen these people at the park before, and they're obviously new staff.
Interesting. Okay. How about you, Ben? Right, Ben? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think a good way to describe it is inconsistent. Because sometimes I was waiting in line for this thing, and they were getting minute to a half dispatches, and they were just doing pretty good. And then sometimes they were hitting 3.5 minutes. And I know it's a new ride, and I know we're just getting in there, and I know it's a new staff crew, but I just think it should be at least a little bit faster. And I know it's kind of hard because they have to make sure the people can only buckle their seatbelt, and then they have to wait for the entire. And they have to have everybody keep their restraints up, and they put them down because of the way that the seatbelts are. But I just think it could be faster, and maybe that'll improve over the season. But at least just for the first 2 weekends of operation, it was going a little slow.
Mm-hmm. And I can almost confirm that it is going to improve, and it is almost unfair for us to kind of rank that so soon into the season. But we were going to ask it anyways. So last two questions. Where does this coaster fall in your top 20, if it falls in your top 20? We'll start with you, Drake.
I think I already said this earlier. For me, it's my number 3. It was honestly really hard for me because my previous number 3 was Expedition G-Force. But I just really had to think about, honestly, it was down to the pacing for me, because there's kind of a few moments on Expedition G-Force where it's a bit, okay, this is nice. But like I said before, there's no moment on Timbers where you're able to breathe. So my number 3, new number 3.
Awesome. And you, Adam?
I really don't have a top 20 because I.
Okay, you're like me.
As far as can I give you as far as RMCs?
For sure, yeah.
I'd say probably it's a top 5 RMC.
Awesome.
So yeah.
How about you, Joe? 4 or 5? Okay.
I don't really have a top 20. I haven't really thought about it that much, but this thing is kind of tied for me around where I rank Intimidator 305. And
wow.
Because it's kind of hard to compare these rides, because one's more about the speed and the twists and turns, and the other one's definitely geared more towards the airtime. I definitely enjoyed this ride more than El Toro, because I thought I liked it better than El Toro, mainly just because of the inversions. But I think this is somewhere in between Lightning Rod and Intimidator. It's kind of hard for me to decide right now.
Yeah, no, for
but
sure.
I think it's up there with Intimidator.
Awesome. Wow. And how about you, Ben?
It's my number 3 for sure. Basically the thing that replaced it was Storm Chaser, and after just thinking about it for a while, it's not better than something like Intimidator or one of my favorites, Maverick. But comparing it to Storm Chaser and some of my other coasters higher up in my top 10, it just has the elements. It has the really good pacing. It does really well on all the things. So definitely top 5, number 3 ride.
Awesome. And then I guess kind of a big question. Any suggestions for improvement on the coaster or the theming? I guess kind of everything we went over. We'll start with you, Drake.
The ride itself, no, absolutely nothing needs to be improved. Theming, well, like everyone said, they're kind of still working on it, because in the station currently there's just empty baskets, I was just kind of like poking fun at it, and I was like, "Wow, look at this great theming in the station, guys! We got some empty apple baskets. This is incredible." Um, uh, the trains, though, like me, I love the old school Intamin trains, like on the Superman Ride of Steels and Millennium Force, just because of how open they are. And I feel like in the RMC trains, you're kind of like there's stuff all around you on your side, so I can't like really lean out of the car and try and touch the ground whenever I want to. But on those old Intamin trains, you can do that. So, but that's like if that's my only complaint, then that's there's nothing wrong with this ride really.
I'm picturing the lift spiel right now, like keep hands, arms, and feet inside. All right,
got
and
no
you,
choice.
And how about you, Adam?
Nothing. I only thing that's probably the improvement of the theming in the station, and overall the ride's great.
Awesome. And how about you, Joe?
There's not really much to improve with the ride itself, like the ride experience. But there's one thing that quite annoyed me, and it was how the ride operators have to push down on your lap bar. And most of the time, I did get stapled, which I thought it was quite annoying. I think that we should be able to pull down our own lap bars. It's like they think we're incapable of doing it.
All right. And how about you, Ben?
For me personally, I really think the ride is perfect in pretty much a really good way. And I think the only thing they really have to work on is operations and just a little bit of theme. But they already said that stuff is going to improve. And the reason why they have to pull down the lap bars is because the seatbelt is immediately like if you put the lap bar down, the lap bar covers the seatbelt. So unless they like push under the lap bar, they can't get to the seatbelt to check it. So that's the only reason why they do that.
They can reach in and touch all my goodies if they want.
And then I guess that's it for questions. Did you guys have anything you really want people to know about Twisted Timbers? Like anything that maybe we didn't cover or ask you?
I think it was hilarious that little track blip right before the station, it was in there. Remember when the animation first came out, everyone was like, oh, did the animation just mess up? No, that's there in real life, and I found it absolutely hilarious.
Is that a mistake, or is that like actual? Like, it's obviously not a mistake if they put it in the animation, but it is weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, I was trying to look to where like the little right before the outward pink turn comes into the little hills that come before it, right beside the brakes. I'm thinking maybe it's because there wasn't enough room right beside that with the new RMC tracks and trains. But anyway, it's very funny.
All right, how about you, Drake?
That was Drake.
Oh wow! Oh my God, I mixed you and Adam up. How about you, Adam?
No, I honestly, out of all of them that I've been on, this is the start of probably getting better. But I was surprised by the 3 airtime hills. They looked. I don't like to judge rides before I ride them, but looking at how short they were, I'm thinking, okay, it reminds me of like. Have you guys been on Mako at SeaWorld?
No.
And I don't like comparing RMCs to B&Ms, but this was some pretty good ejector air time. So
it looks fast, yeah.
I was impressed because I don't remember the guy who did the aerial coverage and all that for Parker. He had a drone. I don't know.
Yeah.
The testing, it looked kind of slow, but I was wrong.
And you, Ben?
Basically, just for me, I think everything with the ride is really good. I think it's a ride that people should go out and ride to, and go to King's Dominion and ride it. What was I thinking of? The one thing that's amazing me about this is Cedar Fair's first set of RMCs. Is this in Steel Vengeance? So, just thinking about this, if Cedar Fair is planning on putting in more RMCs in the future, I can't wait to see how those are gonna look. Because if this is their first RMC, who knows what the future is going to look like for Cedar Fair of RMCs. It's going to be incredible.
For sure. And how about you, Joe? Anything you want people to
know? There's not really much, but here's a little tip. If you don't want to get stapled, just kind of like lean up a little bit in your seat, and then when they put that on your lap bar, you can scoot back and you're not going to be stapled. And I found to give a more comfortable ride experience if you do that.
Awesome, good advice. So it sounds like this coaster is absolutely phenomenal, and everyone should go ride it. We're not going to rank coasters like on a scale of 1 to 10 because we feel like that's kind of like insufficient in providing a good idea of what a coaster is. But I guess like the overall consensus is it's an amazing coaster and everyone should ride it. Right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining Amusement Insiders on our first segment of Diverse Reviews, guys. If you just send me a message afterwards, we'll link where you want people to go to in the description box. And yeah, thanks again.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
See ya.